Good morning. Welcome to the UU Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We are delighted that you could join us for this service. Our mission at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Roxy Mountjoy, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation. And are we not on? Okay, just seemed to. If you're a newcomer or visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about our congregation and to receive our weekly email newsletter. Also, if you'd like to be greeted as a newcomer after the service, please take a red mug and members will seek you out to make sure that you are warmly welcomed. If you're joining us online today, please say hello or good morning in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'd like to hear from you and extend you a welcome as well. For those of you who are here in person, a gentle reminder, please silence your cell phones and other electronic devices so that we can enjoy this service uninterrupted by buzzing or ringing. Today's service is titled Patriotism. In recent decades, we have seen the rise of a new religious nationalism that presents itself in the guise of a particular brand of patriotism. As members of a religious community, we are guided by values that transcend narrow national interests. So it is important to examine the difference between true patriotism, a noble virtue, and extreme nationalism, a dangerous socio-political doctrine. Our opening words were written by Marin Tirabassi.
Good morning. Beautiful are spacious skies, but not just Wyoming and South Dakota, where open seems to go on forever. Beautiful are dark Maine forests, Detroit streets, and Carlsbad caverns.
Beautiful are amber grains and also the indigo waves of the Pacific, purple mountains, urban canyons, and Mississippi Delta too.
Beautiful are fruited places, Washington apples and Georgia peaches, Texas grapefruit, Finger Lake grapes, and the hands that pick that fruit.
Beautiful are the pilgrim feet of Plymouth Rock and Ellis Island. More lovely are those feet when they stand humble before the Trail of Tears feet, the feet of those brought here in chains, feet blistered crossing the desert, feet in ankle bracelets of ice.
Beautiful are heroes of so many wars who gave their lives and families who gave their loves, and beautiful are others who came back troubled in their hearts and those who welcomed them home.
Beautiful are heroes of many kinds who fight fires, guard coasts, ride ambulances, teach school, check out library books, foster and adopt children.
Beautiful are emergency room staff, social workers, addiction counselors, and many others, not just in general and not just once a year.
This Navajo poet on the reservation, this boxing coach in the Bronx, this camp counselor on a New Hampshire mountain, that child yet to be born, the dawn of many tomorrows' sky. Please join me in saying the words to light our chalice. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join in the singing of our hymn, The Fire of Commitment. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. Please be seated.
So I'm going to make this a little weird. Kids are staying in their seats today for our story. But there are some seats right up front here. If you really feel like you want to come closer, there's some seats right up here. So that might be a good option. Good to see you, friends. I come from a family of immigrants who came to this country seeking opportunity and freedom. My ancestors got here by boat or air, both legally and illegally. Being a patriotic American, to me, means to believe in that promise of freedom and equality, even if it doesn't fully exist yet. Being a patriotic American, to me, means working and fighting for the right to love, to have control over one's body, and to exist in peace for all. The book that I'm going to share with y'all today was written in 2020 during the previous administration, who was focused on walls and travel bans. And it tells of a story grappling with what it means to be an American and a patriot. It is titled, Mommy, Am I American? It was written by Isla Malik, and the illustrations are by Dawood Marion. Mommy, am I American? Yes, son, you were born on American land. Mommy, is Nasir American? He was born on Pakistani land. Yes, Nasir and his family became Americans when they promised to be a part of America and protect its values above any other place in the world. But Mommy, what are America's values? Oh, my child, America is the land of dreams, where people are free to make their own choices about who they are and who they want to be. It's a place where Lady Liberty welcomes the world to show how accepting and strong our people are. America is a place where everyone, no matter the color of your skin or who you love or what job you have or who your mommy is, everyone is equally important. America reflects and believes in the spirit and the voices of its people. The boy shrugged his shoulders and said, "Oh, I thought Nazir was Muslim." "Son, Nazir is Muslim and he is American. But Nazir has brown skin and his mommy dresses in clothes with too many colors." "Yes, Nazir's brown skin and is American. Nazir's mommy may wear different clothes, but what we wear and how we look doesn't make us more or less American." "Mommy, what about Fernandina? She came here when she was a baby." "Fernandina has been in school with you for a very long time, and her family works very hard for America. Even if people say that she is not an American on paper, she has an American spirit, and America will protect her." "I don't think so, Mommy. America is going to build a wall so that Fernandina can't see her other family in Mexico." "Yes, even the idea of a wall is sad, but walls cannot separate people's care and love for each other," said Mommy. "But if you are sad about building walls, do you still love America?" "I love America, but I don't always like the choices that our leaders make. Just like I love you, but I don't always like your choices," said Mommy. Mommy took a deep breath and continued, "We have to share our voice when we don't like a choice that American leaders are making. There are lots of people, like judges, activists, and community helpers, who can keep America the land we love." The boy looked over at Mommy and saw her teary-eyed. "Mommy, why are you crying?" the boy asked. "Son, I love the vision of America as a place where everyone has a chance to live a good life and be the best that they can be. So many people gave up so much to move America closer to that dream. You have learned about many of these people at school. Our presidents, like John F. Kennedy, Abraham Lincoln, and Barack Obama, and community leaders like Sacagawea, Harriet Tubman, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Cesar Chavez, and Ruth Bader Ginsburg, just to name a few. But so many more people that you will never know have done the same, like the original Native people whose land was taken to build America, and the brave men and women soldiers who fought for American values. Sometimes my heart hurts for America, because it hurts for so many people who feel far away from that dream. The boy hugged Mommy. "I'm hugging you from America," he said. Mommy smiled and said, "What a beautiful thought." The boy hugged Mommy for a few minutes, and then he asked, "Does America love me?" Mommy thought about the question and replied, "When you stand up for American values, for the voice of all people, then you are showing your love for America. When you show you care for people who are different from you, you are loving America. When you show gratitude for what you have and kindness to those who have less than you, you are loving America. And when you say thank you to people who give up spending time with their families to help our community and protect our freedom, then you are loving America." Mommy took a deep breath, and then she continued very slowly. "When you show your love for America, you will feel her love in return." Without saying a word, the boy stood up, got a piece of paper and a pen, went to the dining table, and started writing. Mommy walked over to the boy and asked, "What are you doing?" "I'm writing a note to Nazir, and then I'm going to write one for Fernandina." "Oh, really? What are you going to say?" "I'm going to tell them that I care about them, and I want to learn more about their cultures. I'm going to hug them from America." Mommy smiled. "Son, that is truly American." The end. And now we could head to our RE class downstairs. First, let's sing the kiddos out.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in Many's the time I've been mistaken, and many times confused. Yes, and I've often felt forsaken, and certainly misused. But I'm alright, I'm alright. I'm just weary to my bones. Still, you don't expect to be bright and bon vivant, so far away from home, so far away from home. I don't know a soul who's not been battered. I don't have a friend who feels at ease. I don't know a dream that's not been shattered or driven to its knees. But it's alright, it's alright, for we've lived so well, so long. Still, when I think of the road we're traveling on, I wonder what's gone wrong. I can't help it, I wonder what's gone wrong. And I dreamed I was dying. I dreamed that my soul rose unexpectedly, and looking back down at me, smiled reassuringly. And I dreamed I was flying, and high up above, my eyes could clearly see the Statue of Liberty sailing away to sea. And I dreamed I was flying. We come on a ship they called the Mayflower. We come on a ship that sailed the moon. We come in the age's most uncertain hour and sing an American tune. Oh, but it's all right, it's all right. You can't be forever blessed. Still, tomorrow's gonna be another working day, and I'm trying to get some rest. That's all, I'm trying to get some rest. This is a time in our service where we share joys and sorrows that have been submitted by members of the congregation. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." A sorrow from Dorothy Conroy. Dorothy says, "I'm a new friend of Sunnyhill, and I'm struggling with 4 significant losses in the past year. The most recent loss was my friend Cameron Evans, who died suddenly at the age of 43. Please hold Cam and me in your thoughts and prayers." To Dorothy, we hold you in our hearts. A joy from Julie Ann Sullivan, who says, "I want to thank Jen McLaughlin for helping me with the logistics of getting Sunnyhill's Caring Connections newsletter off the ground. It made me appreciate all that Jen does way beyond RE. While helping me, she was also coordinating our involvement in Pride Day, Juneteenth, and hosting young adults here at Sunnyhill prior to GA. Her dedication to this community goes well beyond her job description. We are blessed to have her be part of this community." To Jen, we say, "We hold you in our hearts." A joy from the Craig family. We want to share our sincerest gratitude to our Sunnyhill family for helping our family mourn the loss of Christy's mother while also celebrating her life at yesterday's memorial service. The love and care displayed by the staff and volunteers to ensure the memorial service went smoothly was a true testament of our faith in action. To Christy and the entire Craig family, we hold you in our hearts. As we sing our meditation hymn, "Comfort Me," I invite anyone who feels moved to do so to come forward, light one of our candles from one of the candles here, which I will light in just a moment, place it in the sand, and then return to your seats. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. I invite you to join me in the spirit of meditation or prayer. We pause during this 4th of July weekend, during a time of unrest and great change in our country, to gather ourselves, to center ourselves, and to remember that real freedom never comes without a struggle, without a cost. To remember that real freedom has nothing to do with the blathering of demagogues who wrap themselves in the flag while laying waste to human rights and human dignity. To remember that real freedom has less to do with freedom from something than it has to do with freedom for something. To remember that freedom and responsibility must go hand in hand. to remember that real freedom is celebrated not through fireworks and flag waving, but through faithful action, through working for justice rooted in love. As we observe a moment of silence, let us remember those who have given their lives in the struggle for freedom, and let us reflect on our own commitments to love and justice as the struggle continues in our own time. May the light of freedom guide us on our way. May the warmth of love strengthen and sustain us. And may the mighty stream of justice once again clear the way toward a world in which everyone is liberated from the shackles of oppression. Amen. I'd like to preface my sermon this morning with this poem written by Marin Tirabassi, who also wrote our opening words, titled "The Eve of the 4th of July." It was written just a few years ago. I've loved the parades of other years with bicycles decorated and children banging coffee can drums, with cars decorated with streamers carrying the oldest citizens, with the well-rehearsed middle school band, the Cub Scouts and Bluebirds, Daisy Girls, and a flatbed trailer with some church choir holding on tight, and not a tank in sight. I have loved parades of other years, but the only parade I ask this year is the parade of justice. The only fireworks I hope to view is legislation for gun control. Let us recite not just the Declaration of Independence, but also Frederick Douglass, "What to the slave is the 4th of July." Let us sing "God Bless America," remembering the immigrant who wrote the words, and "America the Beautiful," celebrating the queer woman whose vision of abundance and history is captured from the top of Pikes Peak. Let us wave no flag, but a banner saying, "Welcome all." And reading Emma Lazarus's poem, not call those who come poor and huddled only, but rich with gifts, the one which, if we have the wisdom to receive them, will make America great again. One of my favorite college professors when I was a student at the University of North Carolina, these many years ago, was a wonderfully eccentric fellow whose name was Paul Ziff. He chain smoked through all of his lectures, even though smoking in classrooms was not permitted even in those long ago days. And his exams were entirely made up of a series of philosophical statements with the instructions, please indicate which of the following statements Paul Ziff would consider true and which he would consider false. Now, we also wrote papers in which we expressed our own opinions and analyses, but for the exams that we took, he thought it was enough for us to understand his views first and foremost. Professor Ziff had served in the American military during World War II and then stayed in Europe after the war to study painting. Although he never became a great artist, he developed an interest in the philosophy of art, or aesthetics, and went on to earn his PhD and become a professor, first at Harvard, then eventually at UNC. Ziff was recognized as an expert not just in the philosophy of art, but also in semantics and the relationship between art and language. One of his pet peeves had to do with the tendency that people have to confuse symbols with the things that they symbolize. At that time, when I was studying with Professor Ziff, there was some discussion in certain political circles about banning flag burning, something that comes up time and again. And Ziff said that this proposed ban was a perfect example of confusing a symbol, in this case the American flag, with the thing symbolized, which was the country itself, or love of and loyalty to the country. Ziff was especially frustrated with the wording of the Pledge of Allegiance in this regard. He argued that while it made perfect sense to pledge one's allegiance to a nation's values and founding principles, it made absolutely no sense to pledge one's allegiance to a flag. In other words, he would have been okay with the pledge if it had read something like, "I pledge allegiance to the Republic of the United States, one nation with liberty and justice for all, as symbolized by its flag." But that's not what the pledge says. It says, "I pledge allegiance to the flag" first, and secondarily adds, "and to the republic for which it stands." And I'm not even going to comment on the "under God" part today, which was tagged on later. When your primary allegiance is given to a symbol, then you tend to lose track of the underlying values that are more deserving of your allegiance. And this issue of confusing the symbol with the thing symbolized points out the problem at the heart of patriotism as it is often practiced in our nation. If you think that merely waving a flag is patriotic, then you are missing the point of devotion to one's own country and the principles that undergird it. In religious terms, such flag waving might be thought as a form of idolatry. When we elevate this symbol to a place of importance that is higher than the thing symbolized, then we have essentially created a false idol. But if patriotism is not mere flag waving, then what is it? And is it good and morally defensible? Gary Gutting was a philosopher who spent most of his career at the University of Notre Dame, where he taught courses in analytic philosophy and was a leading expert on the work of French philosopher and literary critic Michel Foucault. Gutting pointed out that patriotism can take explicitly amoral forms. For example, the phrase, "my country, right or wrong," implies a kind of undiscerning loyalty that can lead to disastrous results, especially if not tempered with a tagline that was added by Carl Schurz, "if right to be kept right, and if wrong to be set right." On the other hand, if one elevates universal moral principles above what might be termed a sense of patriotism for one's country, it may be ethically defensible, but might also result in the loss of any sense of loyalty to one's own community and the morality that is rooted in the specificity of one's own place in time and experience. Gutting writes this: "It may seem then that we must either accept modern universalist ethics, that's universalism with a small u, and reject patriotism as a basic moral virtue, or accept patriotism along with traditional localist morality. But perhaps, at least in the American context, there is a way of avoiding the dilemma. Gutting continues, for what is the animating ideal of patriotism, if not freedom of all persons, not just its own citizens? This is apparent in our declaration, which bases its case for independence on the principle that governments exist to secure the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to which all persons are equally entitled. This principle, Gutting writes, is the avowed purpose of all our actions as a nation, and we may read our history as the story of our successes and failures in carrying out this principle. America, then, is the paradox of a local historical project that aims at universal liberation. Through this project, we have a way of combining traditional patriotism with universal morality. Gutting is quick to point out that this national project of universal liberation has often failed and continues to fail in important and significant ways, especially when we forget our own history and its more unsavory aspects, such as a legacy of the murder of indigenous peoples, slavery, and the various ensuing manifestations of racism, classism, sexism, homophobia, and other forms of oppression and marginalization. Gutting says, this project has had many failures, most often when we forget that the freedom of a nation must always grow from its own historical roots. We cannot simply wage a war that rips up those roots and then transplant shoots from our own stock, such as American-style capitalism, political parties, and our popular culture. We have also often forgotten that the liberation of our own citizens is by no means complete. But none of this alters the fact that our governments have often worked and our soldiers died not just for our own freedom, but for the freedom of all nations. We are a community, Gutting writes, that is still trying to live out a modern morality that seeks the freedom of everyone. He says, I love America because I still believe that this sublime project is possible. As Unitarian Universalists, we have a long history of calling our nation to live into its highest ideals of freedom and liberation for everyone. This call to live into the values of freedom and liberation was behind our historic support in the 19th century for the abolition of slavery, our support for the rights of women, including reproductive rights, our support for LGBTQ+ rights, and our ongoing support for other freedom and liberation movements of our current era. While at times support from Unitarian Universalists has been more intellectual or theoretical, we are at our best when our support is demonstrated in a more direct, hands-on approach that makes itself visible in the streets, in the courthouse, in the state house, in the corridors of power, and in the town council and local school board meetings. While Unitarians were among the elite of this nation's founders, and they have always been interested in working to help this country live up to its ideals while acknowledging that it has often fallen short. In other words, our way of being patriotic has been and must continue to be acknowledging the ways in which our nation has failed to live up to its ideals of freedom and liberation, while working to make these ideals our lived reality. It is not unpatriotic to hold a mirror up to the United States and see there its many flaws and injustices. It is not unpatriotic to suggest that our foundational narratives, national myths, have included falsehoods and hypocrisies. It is not unpatriotic to hold this country and its citizens accountable to its self-proclaimed ideal of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness to which all persons are equally entitled. In fact, I would suggest that holding up this mirror, examining our national myths, and insisting on living into our highest values are among the most patriotic acts that one can engage in. Without such patriotic acts and activities, our celebration of the 4th of July becomes a hollow and discordant sham in which we celebrate a symbol, the flag and the surrounding red, white, and blue paraphernalia, while forgetting the thing symbolized, the ideals of liberation and freedom for which we still struggle. This year, as I watch the 4th of July fireworks, I will remember the fiery words of Frederick Douglass in a speech he delivered on July 4th, 1852. Douglass said in part, "At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument is needed. Oh, had I the ability and I could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened, the conscience of the nation must be roused, the propriety of the nation must be startled, the hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced." In case you're looking for examples of our nation's hypocrisy in our own era, you need not look far. Just this week, the United States Supreme Court handed down a ruling, among several other such rulings, that epitomizes the kind of injustice and inequality that this country was created to undo. For centuries, people of privilege have had advantage in college admissions. Family members of alumni are often given preferential treatment, and people of higher economic status are better able to afford tutors and admissions coaches to ensure that their children are admitted to their college of choice. Not to mention the fact that it's an increasingly small segment of our population that can actually afford to pay full tuition at most institutions of higher education. For decades, affirmative action admissions programs served as a counterweight to the built-in prejudices in American higher education admissions systems. Without such programs, historically marginalized and at-risk students will certainly suffer. As Michelle Obama said this week, commenting on the court ruling, so often we just accept that money power, and privilege are perfectly justifiable forms of affirmative action. While kids growing up like I did are expected to compete when the ground is anything but level. She added, and while I know the strength and grit that lies inside kids who have always had to sweat a little more to climb the same ladders, I hope and pray that the rest of us are willing to sweat a little too. As we celebrate the 4th of July this year, I hope and pray that we will do so not in a mindless haze of flag waving, nor in making false idols of ultranationalist claptrap or unearned privilege, but rather that we will celebrate through acts of true patriotism, working to make this country live into its highest ideals, that all might know liberation and emancipating freedom, that all might be welcomed and valued and loved. May it be so. Amen. I invite you to rise again in body and or spirit and join us in singing our hymn, "This Is My Song." This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. Please be seated.
It is time for our morning offering. We don't have a designated offering this morning, so our collection will benefit Sunnyhill and will help defray our operating costs. If you'd like to make a gift via our online giving system, you can do so by going to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says Online Giving, and then follow the instructions. Or you can give by text at 412-324-3130. For those of you who are here with us in person, we'll be passing our offering baskets in just a moment. Thank you, everyone, for your generosity. join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
A couple of brief announcements. Following today's service, our current events discussion group will meet, I believe, in the Red Oak Room. Look for Randy Bellamy, Carlos Alveri if you're wanting to join in with that group. Also, next Sunday is our Flower Celebration Sunday. It's a traditional Unitarian ritual where we ask everyone, if you can, to bring in a flower, whether from your garden or from someplace else. Don't take somebody else's flowers as the only thing. And then you leave with the flower that someone else has brought. We'll close now with these words. It's a poem written by John Daniel entitled Dependence Day. It would be a quieter holiday, no fireworks or loud parades, no speeches, no salutes to any flag, a day of staying home instead of crowding away, a day we celebrate nothing gained in war but what we're given, how the sun's warmth is democratic, touching everyone, and the rain is democratic too, how the strongest branches in the wind give themselves as they resist and give themselves, how birds could have no freedom without the planet's weight to wing against, how earth itself could come to be only when a whirling cloud of dust pledge allegiance as a world circling dependently around the star, and the star blossomed into fire from the ashes of other stars. And once, at the dark zero of our time, a blaze of revolutionary light exploded out of nowhere, out of nothing, because nothing needed the light, as the brilliance of the light itself needs nothing. Go in peace.